my friends, at midlife, our ovaries go into almost full retirement, but our bodies and our minds are still working a mile a minute. And in a perfect world, the adrenal glands are supposed to take over our hormone production, but the only problem is that our poor adrenals are so overworked dealing with the daily stress of our chaotic lives that it makes the transition into menopause and beyond feel incredibly rocky. Does that make sense? So today I'm going to tell you about the 5 herbs that make this transition so much smoother. And we're going to discuss herbs that help with everything from weight loss, protect your heart, prevent cancer, increase our libido, increase mental sharpness and clear brain fog, and even increase our biological longevity. But before we do a deep dive into these 5 herbs, I'm going to let you know that you don't need to take any notes. I've already done all the heavy lifting by creating a comprehensive longevity herb guide that you can download for free using the link in the description. And it has all the important details that you need to learn which ones to take for which symptoms, how much to take, and all that vital information. All right, so the 5 botanical powerhouses that we're talking about today belong to a special class of herbs that are called adaptogens. And adaptogens are the ultimate tools we have to help navigate this time in our lives because they support a balanced, youthful, and well-regulated body that's especially effective during this time of life without having to take medications. All right, now the first adaptogen that we're going to discuss has been especially successful helping with the stubborn weight gain, especially around the belly that often happens at midlife. Because when our adrenal glands are chronically overworked, our bodies pump out a steady stream of cortisol. And this devastating thing that happens to us slows down our metabolism and completely hijacks our brain chemistry that triggers intense cravings for sugar and comfort foods. So if you've been trying to eat right and exercise, but the scale refuses to budge, this may be the reason. All right, now ashwagandha can help by telling our overactive stress glands to slow down and stop producing cortisol. And if weight gain has been a significant issue for you, the science behind ashwagandha becomes incredibly exciting. A double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled human trial specifically tracked adults experiencing chronic stress and weight gain in midlife. And they found that participants taking a standardized ashwagandha root extract saw a massive reduction in their food cravings and emotional binging. And by lowering the cortisol levels, ashwagandha was effective in shutting down the physiological drive to overeat, especially the wrong foods. So the study concluded with a highly significant reduction in both overall body weight and the body mass index compared to the placebo group. Very exciting. So that proved when you calm down the nervous system, the body feels safe enough to release stored fat. All right, other studies on ashwagandha used during midlife found dramatic reductions in hot flashes and anxiety in postmenopausal women. And for women over 50 that have that wired but tired, exhausted all day, but unable to shut down their brains at night, they found that within 2 weeks of taking ashwagandha, patients experienced a quieting of the nervous system that allowed them to fall asleep more easily and experience deeper sleep without that morning hangover. I'll tell you, I love my ashwagandha. So while ashwagandha quiets our nervous system and helps stop the stress eating, the second herb we're going to talk about protects our deep cellular clock during the day. So let's look at the ultimate longevity adaptogen, astragalus. So astragalus prevents the systemic low-grade inflammation that often accelerates during menopause. It helps protect bone density and cardiovascular tissues when our estrogen levels decline. So this cardiovascular protection is really huge because many women don't realize that we are much more susceptible to die from our first heart attack than men. So we often don't even get a warning. So don't wait to start this one. Okay, to understand the true power of astragalus, let me tell you about the legendary figure Li Qingwen. He was an elite Chinese herbalist who claimed to have lived 256 years. And this is a picture of him on the screen from 1933 from a Time magazine article. And historical records note that the Chinese government sent him official congratulations on both his 150th and his 200th birthday. So when asked for his secret to living across 2 centuries, he credited his calm mind, daily Qigong practice, and a lifelong daily diet of wild medicinal herbs. And astragalus root was one of the foundational tonics that he used. Now, whether or not he actually lived to 256 is highly debated, but what isn't a debate is that in modern laboratories, they've spent millions of dollars testing this herb to see if it can truly reverse our biological clock. And one thing they did find in these studies is that, and tell you about inside every cell, we have chromosomes, right? And they hold your DNA. And at the tips of these chromosomes are these protective caps called telomeres. So think of them like the plastic ends of shoelaces that keep your laces from getting frayed. They do the same thing for our DNA strands. And every time a cell divides, those telomeres get shorter and shorter, and our ability to repair our body goes down. So when they get too short, the cell can't divide anymore, and it essentially dies, and this accelerates our aging. So what scientists have discovered is that one particular component of the astragalus herb protects those telomeres. And in 2024, they did a study on a middle-aged population and verified that individuals taking astragalus had significantly longer telomere lengths and a drastically lower percentage of critically short-aged cells compared to the placebo group. So by preserving the length of your telomeres, astragalus quite literally helps your cells last longer, stretching your biological health span right at the moment that your body is navigating these hormonal shifts at midlife. So while the ancient legend of Li Qingwen may sound like a pure myth, modern science does confirm that the astragalus root he chewed on a daily basis contained the exact molecular keys needed to slow down our cellular aging. So if you want to pair the cellular protection with another herb that acts as a master tuner for your hormones, then you need to look at our third adaptogen called maca. Maca is a completely unique adaptogen because it contains no plant hormones and no phytoestrogens, so it makes it safe, much safer anyway. So instead, it acts as an endocrine adaptogen, interacting directly with our hormone glands like the hypothalamus and the pituitary, and encourages your body's own hormone production. So this makes it incredibly safe for women who can't take estrogen-mimicking herbs. And this herb is grown in the high-altitude Andes Mountains. And we know that Incan warriors consumed maca before battle to increase their physical stamina. But once a city was conquered, the soldiers were forbidden from eating it because they wanted to protect the local women from their hyper-elevated libidos. And that's why today we actually use maca in midlife women to help increase their dwindling libidos. And it also helps with brain fog, with memory issues, increasing mental sharpness, and in clinical trials measuring the effects of maca on postmenopausal women, researchers observed significant reduction in blood pressure and a distinct hormone balancing without the estrogenic activity. So that's highly recommended, and It's important to use a pre-gelatinized form of maca because that makes it easier to digest and utilize, and that's in your longevity guide. Now, while maca optimizes your hormone production from the top down, another herb that we're going to talk about right now acts as an executive adaptogen, and that fourth herb is called Schisandra. Okay, we call Schisandra the executive because it has two major actions. It strengthens the central nervous system against stress, and it accelerates liver detoxification to keep excess hormones out of our body. And that's what happens with estrogen dominance when we have too much estrogen, so Schisandra helps with that. Taoist master prized it as a daily tonic because it was believed to preserve youth, protect the lungs, and generate a beautiful, radiant complexion. So that's one of the benefits of Schisandra. And in fact, there are many coffee substitutes that include Schisandra berry in their blends, and one of them is a ticino. You may be familiar with that. It contains Schisandra berries, roasted chicory root, and cordyceps mushrooms, and it's known to support stress adaptation, improve your liver function, and create steady energy without that caffeine jitteriness. So users of that report a grounded clarity, ability to sit and focus for hours without an elevated heart rate. And human research trials have also demonstrated that the Schisandra extract significantly decreases hot flashes, excessive sweating, and heart palpitations that many of my patients do report. So if this is you, Schisandra berry might be a good caffeine alternative for you and be your new morning drink. So now we have quieted our cortisol, we protected our telomeres, balanced our hormones, and supported our liver. So lastly, let's talk about rescuing our mental energy and our mood. And that brings us to our fifth adaptogen, rhodiola. Now, rhodiola is the savior when estrogen levels drop. Many of us experience a drop in critical brain neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. And this is why so many of us experience uncharacteristic bouts of depression, anxiety, and deep physical exhaustion that are totally unlike our norm. So rhodiola is one of the more stimulating adaptogens, and it helps prevent the downturn in these essential mood neurochemicals. So I'm going to tell you a funny story about rhodiola. Rhodiola naturally thrives in the brutal, freezing high altitudes of Siberia. And during the Cold War, the Soviet government actually did a lot of rhodiola research and classified it as a state secret. And if you can believe it, they gave it to cosmonauts, to their Olympic athletes, and their military officers to enhance stamina, mental focus under extreme stress, and their studies were considered state secrets. And it wasn't until the 1990s, when translations of these studies became available, that Western practitioners started their own research and use of rhodiola. So now, holistic practitioners frequently recommend rhodiola as an antidote for that midlife crash. Women who feel completely overwhelmed by demands of aging parents, growing careers, and shifting bodies report that rhodiola helps lift their emotions, give them the stamina to power through their day without feeling emotionally raw. And how does rhodiola work? So rhodiola operates directly at the cellular level by stimulating the production of ATP in your mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of your cells. And clinical trials have verified that 2 of its active compounds drastically reduce mental fatigue, enhance cognitive performance under stress, and help protect brain tissue from age-related decline. So if you're trying to protect your brain or you have brain fog-related symptoms, then rhodiola may be perfect for you. So when you're ready to bring these 5 powerhouses into your routine, remember that taking the right one in the right form and right dose matters. And that's what the Ultimate Herb Guide is for. So grab your copy now using the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.